I'm very excited to be here today with Werner. We're going to be talking about how Sedo and KASSIM kind of work together. We're going to go over who you are, what your company does, the Smart Indigo process, and kind of everything in between. So if we can start off, I would love if you could introduce yourself, what you do, what your role is, and how long you have been there as well.
Okay. First of all, thank you very much and good morning to you.
Ready
My
to?
name is Werner Volkaert and I am Managing Director of Sedo Engineering since end of 2020. Sedo Engineering is a Swiss-based company that develops and produces the Smart Indigo machine. The details on the machine we'll explain later. I am 59 years old, a mechanical engineer, and at Sedo Engineering, I mainly take care of the worldwide sales of the machine, contact with the key customers, and also the strategical development, further development of the Smart Indigo machine. I'm also managing director of Sedo 3 which is the company, German-based company, mainly providing automation and MES solutions for dyeing and finishing. And there I'm working since 32 years. And both companies, they belong to the Van der Wiele group. So there are some synergies between the two companies, but today we talk about Sedo Engineering. So we talk about the Smart Indigo machine.
Yes, amazing. Thank you for that. So jumping right into it, I wanted to know how Sedo works with KASSIM Denim directly.
So KASSIM, this is our first, was and is our first customer worldwide. So we installed, or as KASSIM ordered the first machine in 2018. And meanwhile, we have 3 machines running and operational at KASSIM since 5 years. So KASSIM, they had the long-term vision and view to make the decision to use or to have an environmental uh, sustainable, let's say, production. So they are the pioneers in this case in the denim industry. And our cooperation that we have now, or how we work with KASSIM, is that we continuously update the machines that they have, so they have a better performance at the end, as machines originally did. And KASSIM is our key customer to present new developments on the Smart Indigo machine.
Well,
And of course, KASSIM it's a worldwide reference in the denim industry. This is also important.
very. If you could tell us about Sedo Engineering's main project known as Smart Indigo and how that technology works in as much detail as you can.
Okay, I'll try to give you a small overview on this.
That'd be
So the core
great.
business of Sedo Engineering is the Smart Indigo machine. This is in fact the only machine, type of machine that we have. That's the main business of Sedo Engineering. And the Smart Indigo machine uses a patented electrochemical reduction process.
Okay.
At the end, we transform water insoluble indigo powder into a water soluble leuco indigo or reduced indigo that is ready to, it's a dye stuff then, ready to use on the dye machine. And to achieve this, we use electricity instead of chemicals. So this is one of the key advantages of the machine that we have. And the heart of the Smart Indigo machine is the electrochemical reactor, which is made of a 3-dimensional carbon cell, or different carbon cells. So there are 3-dimensional cells, and they consist, in a simple way, they consist of 2 electrodes, and in between we have a plastic frame and a membrane. And the membrane is one of the most important parts of the cell because it separates the cell into 2 areas. On one side, we have the cathode side, where the reduction of the indigo takes place. In the cathode, we have a carbon bed and also the indigo, which is already dissolved in water. The other part of the cell is an anode side, where the oxidation takes place, and there we have caustic soda on this part. And because of the oxidation, so the only product that, or rest that we have, waste product, is oxygen. That's the only thing that comes out of the cells. The membrane, as explained, is the most important part of the cell because it allows that the ions pass through the membrane, but at the same time, it will prevent that elements in the cathode and anode are mixing, and this would of course prevent or have a bad influence on the process. The use of the carbon particles, because it's a 3D carbon cell, the use of the carbon particles increased the efficiency because through the particles, the carbon particles, we have the contact surface is much larger compared to a planar electrode in this case. And then, so this is one cell, very simple explained. And then we combine several cells to one reactor. So 5 cells are one reactor, and 5 reactors at the end form the complete basis of the machine. So each machine consists out of 30 cells at the end. So this, we found out, gives the best ratio in price performance.
Incredible. That's amazing.
Process is fully automated. So on the beginning of the process, the operator will load the indigo powder to the machine. So it's something that takes a few minutes, let's say. Then the process depends on the state of the machine, between 18 to 20, 24 hours. And then at the end of the process, the Smart Indigo is discharged to a main tank or directly, so it's ready to use on the dye machine. It can be directly used. So that is a short overview of what the machine is doing and how the technology works.
No, that's great. And the sustainability obviously is incredible. I feel like most organizations that are popping up, that's their biggest goal, but it's a challenge for them to find a supplier and people that can help with that. But kind of piggybanking off of that, would you be able to tell us what are the advantages of Smart Indigo and what are the resources or what resources it mainly relies on?
Okay, so the main advantage if it comes to sustainability is, of course, that it's the cleanest way to produce a Leuca indigo. And it's also very important, it's a very economical way to produce it, because this has to go hand in. So the sustainability and the economical production have to go together. If it's sustainable but too expensive, nobody will use.
Of course.
The Smart Indigo, so the Leuca indigo, can be produced on site directly, so there where you need it, using, so the resources that we need are the indigo powder, some caustic, water, and electricity. So no chemicals like sulfates, for instance, is needed to produce the Smart Indigo. If we talk about advantages, there are some small and some bigger advantages. We don't use chemicals, as explained. The indigo powder can be easily stored. You can put it in the warehouse for a long period. It means you can buy it when it's cheap and use it when you need it. It makes you independent or more independent of the supply chain. The liquid indigo you cannot store so easy. You must be sure that there is no oxidation. So this is not something you can store forever, and also the quantities you can store are limited. As we produce the Smart Indigo on site, you have no long transportation ways of liquid indigo, as it's the case in a normal way, where you have a concentration of indigo of 30%, which means you transport 70% of water. Also, for the environment, it's better not to transport the water. The process itself that we have results in a higher reduction of the Smart Indigo compared to the traditional liquid indigo. What does it mean? At the end, that the dye bath, so during the dyeing of the denim, the bath is more stable. And if it's more stable, it means it's not so vulnerable to oxidation. You will need less hydrosulfide again in the dyeing process. It depends. So it's let's say between 20 to 30% less hydrosulfide you will have, and also 40% less caustic is needed. So it's not only a saving on chemicals during the dyeing process, but it's also an economical saving. But if you have use less hydro during the dyeing process, you will also reduce your water consumption by 30 to 40% because you have much less salt content in the wastewater because you use less hydro. As a summary, it means that you save costs in production,
Mhm.
of around 30 to 35% compared to the dyeing with the traditional pre-reduced method, and up to 60% lower energy consumption you will have. So a lot of advantages working with the Smart Indigo machine.
Definitely a lot of advantages. Kind of going after what you said about the supply chain. When it comes to the supply chain, how does Smart Indigo really respond to that? And having so much of that indigo on demand, what really is the difference that you see primarily in the supply chain with what you guys do?
But the difference in the supply chain is mainly that you can buy and store the indigo powder in a very large amount. You can buy a full or two full containers
Mhm.
and then use it for the next months. We see it now, for instance, in Pakistan, there is a problem getting hydrogen, and this means that if the reduction uses hydrogen, which some do, then the production is, for the moment, even stopped in Pakistan in some plants.
Mhm.
And this you don't have using the Smart Indigo machine, because the powder is available, and for the rest you don't need any chemicals. You need water and you need electricity. That's basically what you need.
Yeah, that's amazing. Kind of going with that, seeing as that the supply chain actually doesn't have that many roadblocks, are there any roadblocks that you guys do face that are very challenging to deal with?
Yes, everybody has some challenges
Yes.
to take care of. Yeah, so for us, I would say one roadblock is maybe the so-called greenwashing. You have customers. For them, the environment and sustainability is very important, but a higher cost is not accepted. On the other side, this is a roadblock maybe, but it's also, for us, it's more a challenge than a roadblock. So that is also why we keep on increasing the performance of the machine, that we are competitive with the Smart Indigo machine on the market. That is very important. So it is attractive, economical, attractive to the customer. And another problem that we sometimes have, or you can also call it a roadblock in this case, is the fluctuations of the price of the indigo on the market. This
Mhm.
also has an influence on the payback. And as explained, sustainability is one thing, but the machine must pay off at the end. And once again, to be more independent of this, we increased the performance of the machine. That
Amazing.
is what we have done over the
Yeah,
last 2 years, let's say.
that's great. So when it comes to the future of Smart Indigo, where do you see it going?
The machine itself,
Mhm.
we continues to develop this. So we started with a 1 ton machine, means you
Mhm.
can produce 1 ton of Smart Indigo. So it's like an indigo at 30%, 1 ton a day. And meanwhile, we can produce 1.5 ton. So this is already 50% more performance compared to, let's say, 2022.
Mhm.
And the goal is to further increase the performance, also to react on the requirements of the customers. So one requirement is bigger machine, higher performance. That
Mhm.
is what we are currently also working on. This will come the next years. Further development that we have, we can also add a module on the existing machine. That's also
Mhm.
important, not on a new machine, but also on an existing machine, to produce low aniline Smart Indigo. It is also, aniline is sometimes a problem. So we have a solution that we have also a cell. It's also an electrochemical cell. So the same principle as the machine
Mhm.
is using for reducing the indigo, we also use to reduce the aniline content in the Smart Indigo. So
Interesting.
these are the two main developments that we have: a more
Mhm.
performant machine, higher. So let's say in future will be 2 to 3 tons per day. That's the target, and also the low aniline.
Incredible. That's such an exciting thing as well to hear because I feel like I said earlier, a lot of these industries and companies that are popping up really are trying to go to the sustainable route. And it's great to know, at least for them or anyone that watches this, that is the route that people are trying to get to. And it is accessible at this point in time and just growing further and further.
Mhm.
But thank you
Correct.
so much. If you have any final thoughts, please add them as well.
No, I think this is the most things are explained about the machine.
Okay.
So the only thing that we are now current what we have, but this is in general in the market. It's a
Okay.
tough period for the denim market. So a lot of investments are postponed. But we use the time now to improve the performance of the machine. At the end, we try to improve the payback for the customer, that it becomes
Okay.
more and more interesting, and we are not so dependent on changes
Of course.
indigo prices in the market, and that we can guarantee a sustainable and an economical production. That is the target that we have.
That's great, and I love to hear that. Thank you so much, Werner. This has been so helpful. I feel like you've really thoroughly explained everything when it comes to Smart Indigo. And so whenever people can go onto KASSIM and know, wanting to figure out who helps them with this entire process, you guys are the go-to people. And I think everything that you have said is really exciting to go into the future knowing as well.